Good morning, dear students. Welcome to the next session of General Science class. How are you all? I hope all are fine. Students, in the previous class, we have completed the exercises and worksheet of chapter 11, Push and Pull. I hope all of you have completed the works and have written the subjective type questions in your classwork copy. Today, we will start the last chapter of the semester, that is chapter 12, Friction as a Force. We have already studied about friction in the previous chapter. So, in this chapter, we will study more about friction, like its uses, its harmful effects, and at last about how to reduce friction. So, all of you open page number 129. Chapter 12, Friction as a Force. Friction is a force between two surfaces that are sliding or trying to slide across each other. In other words, friction is a force between the object and the surface which always slows down a moving object or stops it completely. Throw a ball on the ground. Does it slow down and stop? Why does it not keep going? You will observe that it slows down or stops after some time. This is because when you throw the ball on the ground, an opposite force acts on it, which slows and further stops the ball. This opposite force is called friction. Friction depends upon the type of surface that causes it. Rougher the surface, greater is the friction. Smoother the surface, lesser is the friction. So students, what is friction? Friction is a force between two surfaces that are sliding or trying to slide across each other. What is friction? Friction is a force between two surfaces that are sliding or trying to slide across each other. In other words, we can say friction is a force between the object and the surface which always slows down a moving object or stops it completely. So, in other words, we can say that friction is a force between the object and the surface which always slows down a moving object or stops it completely. All of you look at these pictures. Here you can see a boy is throwing a ball on the ground. As we know, when we throw a ball on the ground, it will move through the ground. And what happens to the ball when it moves some distance? Yes, the ball will slow down and at last it will stop. This is because of friction. So, what is friction? Friction is a force between the object and the surface which always slows down a moving object or stops it completely. So, why is the ball slowed down and stopped after some time? It is due to friction. Friction always slows down a moving object or stops it completely. Friction always slows down a moving object or stops it completely. So, the ball is stopped because of the opposite force that acts on it. This force slows the ball and finally stops it. This opposite force is called friction. So, when you throw the ball on the ground, an opposite force acts on it which slows and further stops the ball. This opposite force is called friction.
Hey guys, today we'll learn about friction. Let's start learning about friction. Rewind back, zoop. When you were sliding, two objects were rubbing against each other, the slide and your body. A force occurred due to this. Friction is a force that holds back the movement of a sliding object. That's it. Friction is just that simple. Let's understand it with some examples. What would happen if you tried to slide across the smooth floor? You probably would move smoothly, right? Let's see one more action. What if you tried to slide across a wooden rough floor? You probably wouldn't move much. Why is it easier to slide on the smooth surface floor than the rough surface floor? The answer is friction. Friction is a force that holds back the movement of any object. In this case, you, my friend. The rougher a surface, the more friction. The smoother a surface, the less friction.
Now all of you look at this picture. An object is moving over another object. Here this violet object is moving. It is shown that motion is in this direction. Motion is this direction. That is left to right. So the object moves from left to right due to a pushing force. We have already studied that friction is an opposite force. So in this case, friction acts in the opposite direction of motion. So friction acts from right to left, which means this direction. Students, friction depends on the type of surface. It means on some surfaces there is more friction and on some other surfaces there is less friction. So, first case, rougher the surface, greater is the friction. Rougher surface, greater friction. It means on rough surfaces, friction will be higher. So, movement on these surfaces will be hard. Now, second condition. Smoother the surface, lesser is the friction. Okay, smoother the surface, lesser is the friction. It means on smooth surfaces, friction will be less. So, movement on these surfaces will be easy. For example, take slide as an example. You all have played on the slide in our school. What is the specialty of this slide? Yes, it is smooth. So, when you sit on the slide, you will easily move down on it. This shows that smoother surfaces has lesser friction. So, if a surface is rough, friction is greater. So, the movement on that surface is difficult. If a surface is smooth, friction is less. So, the movement on that surface is easy. Students, this much is enough for today. All of you should read and study today's portion very well. See you in the next class. Till then, bye students. Thank you.